Hey guys, welcome to another video. We are here to talk about my picks for spring eyeshadow palettes. Now, of course, you can wear any eyeshadow any time of the year, whatever you want to do. That's the thing about makeup. It's just here for us to play with. But I do have a stack of 10 palettes sitting in front of me that I will be reaching for in the spring. So I wanted to share them with you. Some of them are newer palettes, some have been around for a while, some of them are collaborations, all of them are my personal opinion, but that's what we're here to talk about today. And if you are new, hello, my name is Kelly. I love to talk about all things makeup and beauty. I love talking, I love makeup, I love talking about makeup. So if that's your kind of thing, I would love to have you subscribe, stay a while, be part of the K-Bella fam. But why don't we go ahead and get into the video. Now I want to start with an eyeshadow palette that I have seen in basically every single person's best eyeshadow palettes for spring, and it's the Sydney Grace Mel Thompson Tiny Marvels palette. Are any of us surprised that this is in here? This eyeshadow palette just screams spring to me. When I think of spring, I think of pastels, I think of greens and purples and pinks and just light shades. You know, like I said in the intro, you can wear any kind of makeup any time of the year, but like in the fall, I think of deep and vampy. In like December, January, I'm thinking of New Year's and like smoky eyes. And in the spring, I'm thinking light and airy and pinks and purples and greens and pastels. And this palette gives it to you. But if you've been around for a while, you know I am a neutral lover and you can still create a beautiful neutral look using this eyeshadow palette. I do love the shade Fire Butts. In my inner corner, I have Fire Butts with a little bit of web on top. Fire Butts is such a magical shade. I do have a few videos showcasing this palette, so with any of these palettes that I'm going to talk about, I will have all of the palettes linked in my description box, as well as any videos that I have using these palettes. Another eyeshadow palette that is new to my collection that I did not expect to get, but it snuck up on me and it's very spring appropriate. It is the Colourpop Cosmetics Limoncello palette. Now I am also, just like everybody else, I sometimes have a hard time keeping up with Colourpop because every time we turn around, they have a new release coming out. But let me tell you, I filmed a video using this palette, giving you guys a review and thoughts and a demo using some of these shades. And this palette, there's something different to it. The quality's a little bit different. I feel like they're so blendable and smooth and creamy and pigmented, and you have a nice mirror in there. This is definitely for the neutral lover who wants something light and airy for spring, but you want to get a little bit crazy every now and then with a blue and a green in here. I do think that you will not regret this palette if you get it, but I got mine on the Colourpop website when they were having like a 30% off sale, and this eyeshadow palette is normally $18 and I got it for $13.50. So for $13, this is a perfect spring ready eyeshadow palette. The next two palettes that I'm going to talk about are also YouTube creator collabs. The first is a newer palette, and it is the OFRA Cosmetics collaboration with Samantha March in Life's a Draft. Now I have red hair and I love the color purple. So purple is said to look good on redheads, and it's just my favorite color in general. I love OFRA highlighters. I love their face duo. I was gonna say face duos. I love their face products in general, so I was really excited to get my hands on this. I do love Samantha March. I think she is an amazing, hardworking creator on here. Again, I have a dedicated video, but if you are someone like me who is into the purples, I think that this would be a great palette to add to your collection. But if you are someone who is not into purples, don't get this palette, okay? You won't like it. It's for the purple lovers. The next palette that I have is in collaboration with the color queen herself, Angelica Nyqvist. She collabed with Kaleidos, which is an indie brand, to come up with Club Nebula. Now this palette intimidated me, y'all. I can't lie. I was scared because when you look at these shades, they are very colorful. I mentioned earlier, I am a neutral lover. I love my neutral shades, but looking in here, there are some beautiful, beautiful lid shades. The quality is amazing. I absolutely love these shimmery lid shades. And to be perfectly honest, if you are someone who is intimidated by color, you are more of a neutral lover, you can go in with this orange shade or this taupey shade right here. You can put those in the crease and pick a lid shade, and it's still gonna be soft and toned down. There will be some color to it, but it'll be more soft and toned down and not as intimidating. But if you are a color lover and you are like, these are my tones, I wanna get crazy, I wanna deepen it up, you still have the ability to do that with these shades over here. So I think Angie and Kaleidos did an amazing job. You get a nice big mirror in here, but I feel like this palette is just very versatile. There are a lot of looks that you can create, a lot of different color stories in here. But I do like that this palette spoke to the color lover in Angie, but is also still an eyeshadow palette for the neutral lover like myself. Now, if those color stories have been a little bold for you, you're a beginner, you're a neutral lover, you're not so sure about stepping outside of your comfort zone, then I would like to introduce to you the BK Beauty True Beauty Eyeshadow Palette. BK Beauty is known for their brushes, but in 2020, they launched an eyeshadow palette. I went ahead and picked it up because these shades scream Kelly to me. They do. You have tons of neutrals in here, you have a variety of mattes, you have a variety of shimmers, and this beautiful purple shade. And I don't remember which video I was watching of Lisa J. Lisa J is also a YouTube content creator and she is the owner of BK Beauty, but she mentioned that this purple shade, you can put it on top of these three lid shades also to get a different tone with the eyeshadow. It will be a more like purple shift without being a true bright purple. So I love that. I've tried that before. I've used all of these shades in the palette now. I really, really love it. One thing to note about this eyeshadow palette is that the eyeshadow shades are very soft, like very soft. I noticed that when I was swatching it for my initial video, is I have to touch very gently because I'm afraid that I'm gonna hurt it. Another thing that I don't think it says on this palette, but I mentioned it in my initial review, there are a couple shades that have talc in them. I don't think that it's all the shades, and I can't remember which shades it is. It does say on the box, and I'm sure you can look it up online or go back to my original video and I touch on it there, but there are a couple shades that have talc, and I know that talc can be irritating to some people. I've never had an issue with it, but I did want to throw that out there. So if some of the other shades in other palettes have been intimidating and you're a neutral lover, I definitely think the BK Beauty True Beauty palette would be right up your alley. Now, the eyeshadow palette that is on the majority of my eyes here is the Latte 2 by Dominique Cosmetics. If you're not new here, you have heard me talk about the Latte palette over and over again for years. I wanted it for the longest time. Finally got my hands on it, absolutely love it. My best friend Smags picked up the Latte 2 for me for Christmas, and I couldn't be happier to have it in my collection. Now, of course, just cover up those four, okay? Those four are very like chocolatey, smoky, deep, neutral, beautiful. If you wanna wear them in the spring, wear them in the spring. But cover that up, and you have this beautiful Cafe Con Leche. I used that in the crease. I went in with strawberry milk in the crease as well to get that pink look. Frappe is beautiful on the lids. It's not what I'm wearing on my lids right now. We'll get into that. Matcha is what I have on the lower lash line, and it's like a beautiful vibrant green. And then you have Blonde Roast, which is like this orange mustard shade. Beautiful, beautiful to go in the crease, but I think that this would be a beautiful spring palette, again, for the neutral lover who wants a pop of color, who wants to throw strawberry milk in the crease or get a little crazy with matcha on the lower lash line without being too bold and too bright. These shades are super pigmented. The blendability is there. I do really love the Dominique Cosmetics formula, and I think the Latte and Latte 2 are great palettes, but I definitely think the Latte 2 is what I'll be reaching for in the springtime. Now, I do have a couple palettes that are on the pricey end because they're Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury, very expensive. I want to say these are like over $50. Definitely purchase them on sale with a gift card, something like that. But there are two quads that I want to share with you. Ooh, this one's hard to open. The first being the Rebel quad. I think the Rebel and Green lights are supposed to be the same with different names. For some reason, they're both available on the Sephora website, and I mentioned in my YouTube Made Me Add It to My Wish List follow-up that I picked this up because Samantha March is always talking about green lights, but I purchased Rebel. Either way, you do have these beautiful like olive green shades, you have a beautiful gold, and then you have like this shimmer topper right here, and this is for someone who loves greens. If you love greens, but you also want a green work appropriate look, this would be a beautiful palette for you. I really like the formula. I don't necessarily think that it's like $50 worth. Kind of great, but I do really enjoy it. The next palette that I'm going to talk about was a gift. And this one I actually picked up when I used my 2,500 Sephora points and cashed them in for a $100 gift card. I got this Rebel quad with that. The next quad that I have to talk to you about was one that was a gift a couple years ago, a birthday gift from Smegs, and this is in the shade Pillow Talk. Like I said, I think of greens, I think of purples, I think of pastels, and Pillow Talk is a beautiful pink quad. You have this very light pink shade that you can put in the crease, then you have this deeper pink shade to kind of, you're not going to be able to smoke it out, but add a little bit of depth closer into the crease. This beautiful lid shade, and then this one right here is a glitter topper. You're going to get a very soft look with this quad, and that's what I really like, because being a neutral lover, every now and then I want to get crazy and put a green in the lower lash line, but a lot of times I just want to be basic, quick, easy, out the door. I'm a mom, I'm chasing a 2-year-old around the house, like I need something quick and easy, and these quads give that to me. Now, if Charlotte Tilbury is out of your budget, y'all don't go broke trying to spend $50 on an eyeshadow palette, okay? Because you can get a similar effect with these little e.l.f. bite-sized minis. This one right here is in the shade Rosewater. They have come out with so many of them. This is the one that made me think of spring, just because you have like the purple pink hues, and that's what I personally think of when I think of spring, but these are like $3. So if you don't want to drop $50 for 4 eyeshadow shades, then you can hopefully drop $3 if you're in the US. It's different if you're out of the US. But if you're in the US and Canada, is it the same in Canada? Let me speak to what I know. If you're in the US, these are like $3. You can get them at Target. They're so cute. The pigmentation is there. The blendability is there. And I will definitely be reaching for Rosewater during the springtime, because that gives me very spring vibes. Now this last palette, and then I have a couple of singles, I'm cheating a little bit, but this last palette that I'm going to share with you, it's a bit of a stretch. I wanted to add it because I didn't want to end with 9 eyeshadow palettes. I wanted to put a 10th in there. And so when I was looking at my eyeshadow collection, you know, I don't have a ton of colorful eyeshadows. So like a ton of people have been mentioning the Glam Light, what is it, the Ice Cream palette by Glam Light. I do totally think that would be a beautiful springtime eyeshadow palette, but I don't have that palette. Otherwise, I would include it. I'm kind of thinking about getting it after seeing it in so many videos, but I don't have a ton of palettes like that. However, if you're a Colourpop fan, if you're a fan of the greens, The Child was very popular when it released in the fall winter of 2020, and I know that this is like a little tiny bit of a stretch, but y'all, I still see spring when I'm looking in this palette, because you have Babyface, which is that green shade, Sipping Soup, which is a light green, you have the Forest, which is a gold, Right Hand Mando, which is like a lighter green silver shade, and Precious Cargo. Those will give you some bright green eye looks. So if you're into the purples, go for the OFRA Samantha March Life's a Draft. If you're into the greens, go for the Child palette. Totally depends on your taste. If you want a variety of color, Reach for Kaleidos Club Nebula with Angelica Nyqvist or the Sydney Grace Mel Thompson Tiny Marvels palette, but I do still think the Child is a great pick for the spring. Now, I didn't tell you what is on my lid because I did want to include these, and they're not an eyeshadow palette, they are some singles, but I picked up 5 singles from Clionadh Cosmetics. And the last time that I wore this shade in the middle, that's what's on my eyelids. Hold on, let me put it down so I can get it up. The middle shade is what is on my eyes right now, and it's this shade right here in Opulent. It's like a duochrome with like gold purple shift. I wore this in another video and so many people told me they loved what was on my eyes. I think that there are amazing brands like Clionadh and Sydney Grace who have these singles where if you're someone who's a neutral lover and you already have a ton of neutral eyeshadow palettes, but you want to play with a little bit of color, get yourself a few singles. The singles that I have, I think will be great for the springtime. Let me tell you what they are briefly. I'm not going to swatch them all. If you want to see a swatching video, go ahead and check out Angie's video. She had one like swatching all of these, I think. I'll list that down below. But I have this pink in Sunbeam. I showed you Opulence, which was the one that's on my lid currently. You have this purple shade in Royalty, which I have not used yet, but I need to get that one on my eyes. This one doesn't necessarily scream spring, but it's very beautiful. It's Azure. It's like a blue-brown shade. And then you have this beautiful, it reminds me of like a sea foam green, and it's called Lineage. But it's like a beautiful sea foam green. So I feel like I will probably be reaching into my neutrals, the Latte 2, getting some neutrals from the Tiny Marvels palette, from LIMONCELlo, BK Beauty, True Beauty, and going in with these shades on the lid like I did today. They give you like oomph, pop of color, bam, in your face. You do get a little bit of fallout, which isn't my favorite, but I did still want to mention those because those scream spring to me. But that is going to do it for this video. I have seen several creators uploading their spring palette picks. I have had such a fun time watching their picks that I wanted to jump on the bandwagon and share mine with you as well. My eyeshadow palette collection is not the largest, but I still wanted to dig into my collection and show you what I had. So if you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed before you go. That way I can see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.